In this edition of Bright Ideas, we are going to chat about wireless controls with Mark Lane and Dennis Hoskins, two members of the Controls Product Management team at Acuity Brands. It seems like everything in our lives is wireless today. What makes this such an in-demand technology?
Well, I think number one, energy reduction is on the minds of anybody who's operating a building. And LEDs are a great way to do that, to reduce your carbon footprint as well as get the savings associated with that. Controls can give you that same benefit, can give you an additional bump in energy savings. But really kind of the hot trend and why wireless is really kind of on the forefront of people's minds is because of retrofit buildings. So controls today, if you do a new construction building, pretty easy to run wires, pretty easy to lay all that out and do the work up front.
Right, no walls to block anything.
Exactly, so traditional controls, you can put those in and it's not too difficult. But think about all the buildings that exist today that could be retrofitted, that building owners could save energy on by installing LEDs and installing controls. That's really where wireless shines, is because we've got a challenge there. If you're trying to put traditional controls in, wired controls, that's an existing space you've got to get through and work through walls and it's very difficult to put a wired product in that scenario. So wireless is really a great way because it eliminates having to worry about any of those obstructions, getting in the ceiling, getting into all those other spaces.
So it sounds like it would save the contractor a lot of time on the job site.
Oh, absolutely. And it has to be, it has to be beneficial for both the contractor and the building owner. The contractor is looking for that simple installation and the building owner is looking for that energy reduction. And contractors are looking to be more efficient. They're looking to be able to get on a job, get it done quickly, and move on to the next one. So just think of, say, a classroom. If the contractor doesn't have to get up in the ceiling to run wires and connect devices, that saves a lot of time. And new construction, depending on the size of building, who wants to run miles of 0 to 10 volt dimming wires, right? That's a big deal. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money, and wireless controls eliminates the need for all that.
And maybe I'm wrongly assuming this, but I would imagine myself and others included might think that programming with wireless might be a little complicated with lots of things going on.
It's actually quite the opposite from that. So even today, contractors have gotten used to push button programming. But there is some challenges there. When they're pushing buttons, they have to push the right button. They have to push it the appropriate amount of times. They have to wait for that blink to come back and let them know that they've done it correctly. And if there's any error there, they have to start all over. Who wants to do that, right? And just think of applications like outdoor and industrial. Some of those fixtures are 50 feet in the air. You have to get a lift truck or a bucket truck to get up there. That's an extra expense that a contractor doesn't want to spend. Wireless makes it so much easier because you're doing it really with a smartphone app, right? Everyone has a smartphone these days. They download the app, they can control, they can program the device all from the ground. You don't have to get up in the air. And when you take that even a step further, right? So the product sensor switch jot, just one touch. Basically, you install the luminaires in the ceiling, the control on the wall. You have a little tool that you push one touch, just one touch, and you're done. You can walk away from the job, you've had it programmed, and you're ready to go.
A lot easier, yeah.
Yeah, and think about, traditional controls, they're not really very flexible. He kind of brought it up right there about being able to do push button controls and having to go, up on a scissor lift. Just imagine putting yourself in the contractor's shoes and they do all that work and human errors involved, right? We all make mistakes, so they could certainly make mistakes and that can be pretty costly, but take it one step further and say they finish the job and they put it all together the way that the customer wants it. And then they bring the customer out and show them, okay, here's what you wanted. And the customer looks at it and goes, I kind of don't like that. Can you change this or that? Has that ever happened?
No, of course not.
In this world. So imagine how easy this would be if you're in that scenario and you're there with the customer and you just go, all right, let me pull out my smartphone, pull up an app, while I'm standing here with you and change the settings right there on the fly, wirelessly communicate to all those devices, and you've now changed that experience like that. It's extremely powerful, and that's something that we offer. We have an app with Clarity Pro that we can obviously wirelessly connect to our sensor switch and Nlight products. It's a secure app, so you can make sure that you only give access to the people who need it and want to use it, you could even pass that access to the customer at the end for them to make changes whenever they want. So just a lot of flexibility that really changes the game here.
Right. So in a lot of the applications you've been describing, my brain is like naturally thinking, oh yeah, offices change all the time, schools may change all the time, great for retrofit opportunity. But you did mention industrial and outdoor. Can you talk a little bit more about those applications?
Sure, industrial and outdoor are perfect applications for wireless controls. I mean, think about it. We mentioned earlier, when you're dealing with outdoor fixtures and industrial fixtures, they're usually 20 to 50 feet in the air. So you have to rent a bucket truck. Again, like we talked about, you have to rent a scissor truck. And think about this as well. Certain parts of the country, I don't know about you, but in Minnesota in December, the last thing I want to be is outside in a bucket truck programming a light fixture. So wireless makes this so much easier. And also think about it, if your indoor controls, your industrial, your outdoor are all under one system, that's one consistent user experience for the building owner. He's really going to appreciate that. And think about it, most places have parking lots, right?
Yeah, and parking lots are probably that one experience that I think is good to really set all of ourselves into for a second. Imagine, you're walking out of the building at night that you work at, and all the lights in the parking lot are on. They're on at 100%, full brightness, so you can see where you're going. Good experience, but not saving much energy by having them on all night long, right? So we, in controls, we design products and we design a sensor and we put a motion sensor up there on the fixture. So now we can sense when there's motion and not, and when there's nobody in that space, we can reduce the energy consumption, bring those fixtures down to a lower level, and we can save a lot of energy, especially overnight, when at late hours, there's not a lot of people there. But let's actually walk through what that experience looks like. So we've got a motion sensor on every fixture. You walk out, you walk under that first fixture, and the motion sensor sees you. It triggers the light on that fixture to go up to full brightness, 100%. That's great. The only problem is the rest of the parking lot,
Still dark.
all the other fixtures are dimmed down to that really low level.
Right.
Your eyes now are adjusting to this new amount of light being dumped down into you, and now you can't really see that far out in front of you anymore. You've lost the experience as to why lights are there in the first place. They're there for us, so we can see where we're going. So really, to get this situation right, to save energy and to give us the experience that we need to have, you need to have a wireless product. Because in a wireless product, what happens is you walk into that first fixture, it senses motion and then tells all the lights in the parking lot to come up at the same time to that same level. So now you've got a consistent experience while you're saving energy.
Right. So I have noticed a lot of this technology is constantly changing very rapidly. How does someone keep pace with all of these changes? They don't want to invest in a system and have it change tomorrow.
Yeah, so one of the great benefits today is that you buy a piece of hardware, and there's good examples of this today even that we're used to. You buy a piece of hardware and all the new stuff comes in the form of a software update, right? We've been living with smartphones for many, many years now, and it's as simple as updating an app, and it unlocks new features and new things on that app, as well as even looking at cars today, right? There's manufacturers that are providing firmware updates to give a brand new experience, something new within that car. It's no different here. I mean, we have a free mobile app that we're updating all the time, unlocking new features on with Clarity Pro. So it's really just investing in the hardware up front, and then you've got it. You're good to go. You're going to get a bunch of new features whenever they roll out. So you'll still be on top of the trend, and you'll still be capable of delivering all the new features and values that you can get.
Great. Thank you both for joining us today for that simple explanation on wireless lighting control. I know there's only more to come very rapidly. Join us for our next episode where we will discuss utility rebates and how you can take advantage of them in your area.